friends, welcome to Tarun IS. Today we will be discussing editorials from The Hindu and The Indian Express of 21st of October 2022. So let's start with the first editorial. This is basically an old article written by C. Rajamohan from The Hindu, and you can relate this article with General Studies paper 2, that is bilateral ties, and the topic is India and UK relationship. Considering the events that have taken place in United Kingdom, many people says that still there is a possibility that Boris Johnson might return, and after the resignation by Liz Truss. Let's see that how India-UK relationships have evolved over the years and what are the new areas and frontiers in which India can build its relationship with UK. So let's see. Now there were certain fundamental differences between India and UK, and because of which we in both the countries were not able to forge new or they were not able to give new dynamics to the relationships. There were certain legacy issues. There were fundamental paradoxes which we will discuss, that what are those paradoxes, and there are certain differences over the outlook over the Ukraine issue. India has not been very vocal when it comes to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, though India has taken the stance that the invasion is wrong, but it has not particularly taken the name of Russia to rebuke it. However, on the humanitarian grounds and other grounds such as building peace in the world, and also building law and order in the world, and maintaining the global order in the world, India has just rebuked the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. However, the writer says, despite all these differences and despite the issues that India and UK had over the past decades, still there is a moment when India and UK can build ties. There are certain sectors like trade, investment, high technology, defense, and regional corporations. According to the writer, these are the few sectors in which India and UK can build the relationships. If we consider UK, then it does have its territory in the Indian Ocean, and if we are to build relations, then we can have a secure and safe Indian Ocean region. This is what the writer has to say. Writer wants to talk about the investment in high technology and investment in the education and health, defense and trade. And post Brexit, the writer says UK would need many partners to forge new ties after the Brexit. So they have been working on the roadmap to transform the bilateral relationships by 2030 under the supervision of Ministry of External Affairs. Now let us discuss what are the paradoxes in the India-UK relationship. The first one is the friction that resulted due to India's post-colonial resentment and UK's unacceptable claim to special role in the subcontinent. We know that post-partition and post-independence, UK was inclined more towards Pakistan, and due to which India was not able to build relationship with UK. So this is one thing. Writer says that US has played, this is not paled, this is played, that US has played an appreciable role in transforming ties between India and UK, and after US recognizing the stronger role that India has to play in the Indian Ocean region, which will serve US interest in Asia. So in the recently released Indo-Pacific strategy by United States, UK also released its own Indo-Pacific strategy, in which it has somehow indicated that India does have a bigger role to play when it comes to security and when it comes to playing a strategic role in Indian Ocean region. The second paradox that the writer talks about, that how the Britain is slower when it comes to appreciating the strategic role of New Delhi, that means India, right? The third paradox that the writer talks about is how the China is influencing or reshaping UK's relationship with New Delhi. In the year 2015, UK had declared that this marks the golden decade in the relationship between UK and China. So now the writer brings our attention to the new era that the relationship between UK and India is going to enjoy. The writer says UK had unveiled its Indo-Pacific strategy that would help it secure the region against the muscular politics of China. There are certain experts says that Pakistan is going to be a hurdle when it comes to building new ties with UK because of the traditional inclination of UK towards Pakistan. So therefore the writer says that Britain is basically torn between its new enthusiasm for India and its historic tilt towards Pakistan. The fourth paradox that the writer talks about is the domestic dynamics. Alright, so the domestic dynamics of UK decides its relationship with India. There has been many instances where the India's internal matter have been politicized in UK. For example, UK's Labour Party, which earlier was thought to be empathetic towards India, started targeting India over the Kashmir issue. Alright, so basically most of India's internal issue they gets politicized in Britain. Thus, the writer says that however the times have changed and post Brexit, Britain would need all the partner and India is a natural ally, and if the steps are taken to build good bilateral relationships, then both the nations would enjoy prestige and good economic and political relationship in order to maintain the global order. So this is overview of the India and UK relationship. First, in the year 2021, India signed a comprehensive strategic partnership. India and UK, they are already building towards the 2030 roadmap that by 2030 they are going to transform their relationship completely. There is a new cyber security program that is to be announced in order to protect the online infrastructure, and there is a proposal for holding the first strategic technology dialogue. And in the January 2022, the first round of the free trade agreement was concluded. Let's come to the next article of the day. The next article, it's a short article which is related with the recent death of workers in Qatar. Now you can relate this article with General Studies paper 2, effect of policies of developed and developing world on India. Now let's first talk about a brief of Qatar and India relationship. In the terms of energy security, Qatar is the largest supplier of LNG. In terms of the trade, India is the fourth largest exporter to Qatar. There is a 7 lakh of Indians who work in Qatar. And when it comes to the defense, both the countries they have a naval exercise by the name Zair al-Bahar. So let's discuss what the issue is. Now the issue is related with the death of 40 people. We know that Qatar is going to host the FIFA World Cup. Qatar is going to host the FIFA World Cup of 2022, and in order to conduct this World Cup, Qatar had built a stadium, and it is said that these people, and out of which 9 people were traced by the Indian Express newspaper, that how they have not been paid the compensation, the families have not been paid the compensation, and how the workers' condition in the Gulf countries are still worse, and they're still not appreciable, and Indian government and Qatar government has to do a lot for the workers working in the Gulf countries who are mostly semi-skilled and unskilled people. So this is the context in which we are going to discuss that how over 8 million diaspora they work in Gulf countries. They send annual remittances of 25 billion. Approximately $25 billion of annual remittance comes from Gulf countries, and 80 million of diaspora is there in Gulf countries. Considering such a huge depth of the economic relationship, there is a need that the workers' right has to be guaranteed. So the Supreme Committee, which for Delivery and Legacy, which is a Qatari organization who is in charge of delivering this event called FIFA World Cup, they said that only 3 of these deaths were work related. Now, this Supreme Committee has said that, of course, it did admit that there is a room for improvement. However, certain part of the responsibility is to be taken by the government of India also. Now, in this article, the important points that I can take out is the first is the condition of the worker in Gulf countries. Second is the sponsorship system. And visa sponsorship. All right. The third point is the condition. So because of the cheap and footloose workers, many people find Gulf countries attractive. However, the non-transparent regime poses challenge to the welfare of the labor. So what does the writer suggest? The writer suggests that there should be pre-departure training. The migrant workers should be informed properly, and they should also be equipped to deal with the crisis, and especially when it comes to the contractual obligation. Like, contract should be honored, it should be fulfilled. If the compensation has to be provided, it should be. And the writer also suggests that there can be a conversation between the Gulf countries and the government of India, and there is a need by the Ministry of External Affairs to build a new institutional mechanism so as to safeguard the right of the laborers working in the Gulf countries, who are majorly semi-skilled and unskilled people. The writer has given example of a Kerala, that how Kerala has pioneered in exporting labor to the Gulf countries. And since there is a large scale migration started in 1970s after the oil discovery in the Gulf, they have created institutional check-in system in order to build a safety net for the migrant workers, and also in order to safeguard the migrant workers and ensure their welfare. The writer has given the example that how the nodal agency for the non-resident Keralite, which is known as the Nokra Roots. Alright, the name of the organization is the Nokra Roots. Now this organization, it offers a personal accident insurance which covers up to 4 lakh and critical care coverage of rupees 1 lakh, beside liaising with Gulf-based community organization. And Kerala government also in critical situation does extend help to the migrant workers, which includes extending help in the critical situation and repatriation of the people. All right, so there is extension, there is offer of personal accident insurance cover, and also critical care coverage of rupees 1 lakh. So writer has given example of this Kerala organization which is working in this direction, and there can be other organization in different states from where the migrant workers goes to the Gulf countries and they work. So this was the article which was related with the welfare of the labor in the Gulf countries. You can also relate this article with the Indian diaspora, General Studies paper 2, that how Indian diaspora faces challenges in the Gulf countries in particular. And Yes, so that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching Tarunayas. Have a nice day.